This incident occurred a few years ago during my first year in college. I lived in a suite-style dorm, consisting of 2 dorm rooms connected by a shared bathroom. While my suite mates in the other room were lax about locking the door to the hallway, I always made sure my room's door to the bathroom was locked to prevent unauthorized entry. One day, upon returning from class, I entered my room just as someone was entering the bathroom and shutting the door behind them. My roommate, who shared the bedroom with me, was attending class at the time, and my 2 suite mates were also out. Reacting swiftly, I closed my door, rushed through the hallway to my suite mate's door, and opened it. This action took just a few seconds. However, upon entering their room, I found it empty. There was no one in the bathroom either. I attempted to enter my room through the door the person had just closed, only to find it locked from the inside. Despite my certainty of witnessing someone enter the bathroom and hearing the door close behind them, there was no trace of anyone having been there. Nothing was amiss in any of the 3 rooms, and there was no evidence of intruders. In 1985, during my second year of college, I lived in an upper floor of a co-ed dorm in Arkansas. The season was transitioning into fall. The nights were just starting to carry a faint chill. One late Friday night, I returned home after dancing and partying with friends. Upon arrival, I found every spot in the parking lot taken, forcing me to park my car down the hill behind the dorm. Despite nursing a hangover, my friends convinced me to venture out again on the next night. The private parking lot and the street in front of it were well lit by large streetlights. As I traversed the parking lot and stepped onto the sidewalk, I noticed a couple walking towards me, arm in arm. They appeared to be dressed for a night of revelry. As I approached them, intending to step aside to let them pass, I made eye contact with the man. His eyes caught my attention immediately. They were red. I don't mean just the whites of his eyes. His entire eye seemed to emit a red glow, reminiscent of an animal's eyes reflecting in a spotlight at night. The woman's gaze also revealed the same eerie red glow. I ran to my car and drove off to continue the night's festivities. I didn't share the experience with anyone, fearing they would dismiss it as a figment of my imagination. Over time, I pushed the memory to the back of my mind, until one evening while conversing with my spouse, it resurfaced like a haunting nightmare. When I went to USC, I lived in a dorm. Every night would end the same with me finishing classwork or editing videos for a little bit of side money. Every night I would finish and hop in the shower. It was the same every night. There was one night, though, that I will never forget. I was showering and I heard my front door creak open as it always did when it would open to a certain point. I quickly turned off the shower and listened for any sounds. Nothing. I had my phone on the sink, so I decided the best thing to do was to call one of my buddies. I called him and he answered. He sounded very sluggish and like he didn't want to go anywhere, but as soon as I told him what I heard, it was almost like you could hear his eyes open over the phone. He set his phone down and got clothes on and then returned to the phone and started talking to me. I then heard a loud crash of what sounded like a piece of metal. This was weird because I didn't have many things in my dorm that were made of metal. My friend heard the noise and asked me what had happened, and I told him I had no clue. I heard his front door open over the phone, and then he said he'd be right up. I heard loud footsteps coming down the hallway. I quickly dried off, threw my clothes on, and received a text from my friend. He said, "I'm outside your door. It's wide open, and I hear heavy breathing." I replied, Throw the door open and I'll come out as soon as I hear the door hit. I prepared myself by the door handle to be sure I'd do as I told him. I heard the door hit the wall and I threw the door open. Nothing. My friend looked at me and then looked around the room. The place was untouched. With both our eyes still wide open, we walked down to his room for the night. I decided to sleep there. We woke up the next morning and checked my room one more time. We opened the door and this time my pillows and blankets were thrown across the floor. We picked up the blankets and pillows before noticing that there were scratches on the wall. Scratches that had never been there before. We got campus security and they checked the room and they figured it was just us messing with them. They told us we would need to pay for the damages. Luckily, my friend and I talked him into believing us, so he called some local ghost hunters. Nothing about them was professional, and they obviously found no evidence. Me and my friend to this day will never forget what happened in dorm room 327 at USC.